Welcome to the deep dive. So you wanted to get a real handle on what makes someone influential, right? And how maybe you can boost your own impact.
Yes, exactly.
So today we're jumping straight into John C. Maxwell's How to Influence People.
A classic.
Yeah, and we're basically going to try and pull out the key ideas, the core principles, and figure out, how they might actually work for you, whatever your goals are.
Right. The aim is those aha moments, like you said, but without getting totally bogged down in theory, keep it actionable.
Totally. And the book kicks off with this really interesting list of names. It gets you thinking straight away.
Oh, yeah, that list. It's quite a mix, isn't it? You've got like John Grisham, the novelist, and then figures like Robert E. Lee or even Adolf Hitler, people with massive world-changing influence for, well, very different reasons.
And the question is, what's the common link? What do they all have?
Good influence. Simple as that.
But the crucial point the book makes, and this is really important for you listening, is that influence isn't just for the famous people or the infamous ones.
No, not at all. Everyone, truly everyone, influences somebody. It makes you think differently about, just your everyday interactions.
It really does.
And there's that early story about Jerry and Patty Beaumont.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example.
It really is. They weren't famous, not seeking the spotlight, but their simple integrity, the consistency, how they supported Jim and Nancy Dornan through a really tough time, that had a huge impact.
Yeah, it shows that influence can be quiet.
Yeah.
Personal, built on just being a good person, having strong character.
Exactly. Which leads perfectly into the first big pillar the book talks about, integrity. That's the non-negotiable foundation.
Right, the absolute bedrock.
And Maxwell shares this story about a business trip Jim and Nancy took to Europe. They bought quite a bit, declared it all honestly at customs, and ended up paying a pretty hefty duty fee.
Yeah, and the customs agent was apparently surprised. Most people try to get around that.
Right. But Nancy's reaction is what sticks. She basically said, look, the money for the customs fee, that's nothing. What I can't afford to lose is my clear conscience.
Wow. That's powerful. That commitment to doing the right thing, even when it's inconvenient or expensive, that's the core of it.
It is. And the takeaway for you is that these choices, even the small ones, they build your reputation. People notice. Maybe not right away, but they notice.
And then you see the flip side, right? The contrast.
Yeah, the book brings up Ivan Boesky, famously said, greed is good.
Right. And look what happened. His downfall, all that unethical stuff.
Yeah.
It just proves that if your foundation is shaky, if it's built on flawed character,
it's going to crumble. Your influence goes right down with it. No shortcuts.
And Stephen Covey had that quote Maxwell uses, didn't he? About how influence tactics are useless without character.
Exactly. You can learn all the tricks, but if people don't trust your character underneath it all,
it won't stick. Trust is everything.
And it's not just about, like, the big ethical dilemmas. It's the everyday stuff. Maxwell even includes these questions for self-reflection, doesn't he?
Yeah, like, do keep my promises? Do I admit when I'm wrong quickly? Simple stuff, but fundamental.
Totally. It's that day in, day out consistency that builds real integrity for you.
There's also that New Yorker cartoon he mentions. The hogs at the trough.
Oh, yeah. The one hog is suspicious. Like, why is the farmer being so nice?
Right. And the point is, genuine influence isn't about what you can get. It's about benefiting others, not just feeding yourself at the trough, so to speak.
That's a good visual. And the ultimate benefit you get from all this integrity, it's trust.
Key ingredient.
The book calls it the single most important factor in relationships. And honestly, trust feels like it's in short supply these days, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
So how do you build it, according to Maxwell?
Well, he points to 3 key things for you. Valuing transparency, showing genuine humility. Not fake humility, but real humility. And actively demonstrating support for other people. Like that Zig Ziglar quote reinforces, helping others get what they want.
Right. It's about being open, being grounded, and being genuinely helpful.
And that warning from Abraham Lincoln is so relevant, too, about power being the ultimate test of character.
Yeah, it's one thing to gain influence with integrity, but it's another to handle that influence well when you have it. Something for you to keep in mind as you grow.
Definitely. Okay, so after integrity, the next big theme is nurturing people. It's about actively adding value, making people feel, well, significant.
So it goes beyond just being honest. It's about investing in people.
Exactly. There's that story about Eric Dornan training a service dog for Canine Companions for Independence, CCI.
Oh, the dog training?
Yeah. And the point wasn't just teaching commands. A key part of building that bond, that trust with the dog, was the simple act of feeding it, giving it that care and attention.
That makes sense. And you can see how that applies to people, right?
Yeah.
Giving that care and attention.
Absolutely. And a big part of nurturing is respect, treating people with respect.
Okay.
There's an anecdote in the book about a woman in a small town. She wasn't getting great service at the local pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And a neighbor kind of subtly helped the druggist see her in a different light, just shifted his perception a little, and boom, the service dramatically improved.
So just treating people like their feelings and opinions actually matter can change everything.
It really can. And that connects to the Emerson quote Maxwell includes about valuing people by their best moments, looking for the good, the potential.
Yeah, seeing the best in them and treating them that way.
And then there's that really moving story about Mark, the Vietnam vet.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that one hits hard.
Doesn't it? His former math teacher, Jim, had shown him respect, treated him well, and years later, after Mark was killed in action, they found one of his old math papers folded up in his wallet.
Just, wow.
Wow.
That single piece of paper carried into a war zone. It speaks volumes about the impact that teacher had just by showing respect.
It really underscores the lasting power of making someone feel seen and valued. Incredible.
So respect is key. What else falls under nurturing?
Encouragement. Big time. Maxwell quotes George M. Adams calling it oxygen to the soul.
Oxygen to the soul. I like that.
Me too. And there's that experiment they mentioned with the ice water.
Right, where people could hold their hand in ice water way longer if someone was encouraging them.
Yeah. It physically demonstrates the power of encouragement to help people endure challenges. It's not just fluff. It has real impact.
And Benjamin Franklin apparently gave advice like this to John Paul Jones.
Yeah, basically told him, praise your officers more, take a bit more blame yourself, and you'll be a much better captain. Practical leadership advice rooted in encouragement.
Lift others up.
Exactly. But then there's the flip side again. That story about the woman whose father played catch with her.
Oh, the 10th pole story.
Yeah. He'd throw 9 easily, but the 10th one, he'd always make it just out of reach. Never let her catch it.
And she resented it for years.
Good.
It affected their whole relationship, her view of herself.
It's such a powerful illustration of how withholding praise, even in seemingly small ways, can be really damaging. Makes you think, doesn't it? Are there 10th balls you might be withholding from people around you?
Definitely something for you to reflect on. So integrity, nurturing through respect and encouragement. What else?
Well, tied into nurturing is helping people develop positive self-worth, feeling good about themselves.
Okay.
Nathaniel Branden's idea is mentioned how we see ourselves, our self-evaluation is like fundamental to our motivation and how we act.
Makes sense. If you feel capable, you're more likely to try things.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the book talks about this little experiment. Ask people to list their strengths and weaknesses. What usually happens?
The weakness list gets longer, right?
Often, yeah. It suggests a lot of us could use a boost in self-esteem in recognizing our own value.
So how does understanding that help you influence people?
Well, it ties into perspective and how the environment you create affects people's belief in themselves. Think about those 2 writing groups at the University of Wisconsin.
Ugh. The Stranglers and the Wranglers. Great names.
Aren't they? The Stranglers were hypercritical, tore everything apart. The Wranglers were nurturing, supportive, focused on encouragement.
And the outcome.
No successful writers came out of the Stranglers group, none. But the Wranglers, several successful authors, including a Pulitzer Prize winner, Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings.
Wow. That's stark.
It really is. It powerfully shows how a nurturing environment can unlock potential. Often, Maxwell argues, it's not what people are that holds them back, but what they think they are not.
So by nurturing, encouraging, building self-worth, you help change that negative thinking.
Exactly. You add value, make them feel significant, and you free them up to live more positively, to achieve more. It's not about expecting an immediate payback. It's about genuinely investing in them.
And hope is part of that too, right? Instilling hope.
Yes, absolutely. Mark Twain's warning about small people belittling your ambitions, while truly great people make you feel you can become great too. That ties right in. Nurturing includes giving people hope.
Okay, so we've got integrity is the foundation. Nurturing is a way to build people up. What's next?
Having faith in people. The power of belief.
Believing in them.
Yes. Jim shares his experience growing up in Niagara Falls, where he felt many people just didn't believe in themselves, saw limitations everywhere, like seeing a train coming at them in every light at the end of the tunnel.
A lack of hope, maybe.
Yeah.
Connected to the last point.
Yeah, definitely connected. And the book makes this really critical point. Most people simply don't have someone in their life who truly deeply has faith in them.
That's kind of sad, actually, but probably true.
It feels true, doesn't it? And then there's the story of Uncle Henry when young Robert, who we know as Jim, visited the farm in Iowa.
Oh, I remember this. The greeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uncle Henry meets him with this booming, enthusiastic, "Well, hello, Robert. I hear you're a great boy." Just instant positive belief.
And you can imagine the impact that had on a young kid, just feeling someone believes in you like that.
Transformative. So the principle for you is to become a believer in people. Maxwell says even people who seem tentative or unsure can really start to bloom when someone treats them with confidence, with faith in their abilities.
Okay, so how do you practically do that? How do you build belief?
Well, conveniently, the book offers the BELIEVE acronym, a framework for you.
Ah, handy. Let's break it down. B.
B is for begin with a positive attitude. Your own outlook matters. If you expect good things from people, you're more likely to see them.
Right. Sets the tone. E.
E is experience some wins together. Like the story of Larry always picking John for his sports teams back in the day. Larry expected to win when John was on his team. That shared success builds mutual belief.
Okay, shared wins.
L is listen to them. This is huge. Jim talks about how he initially failed at recruiting people because he was just talking at them.
Not listening.
Right. But when he finally just shut up and listened to someone vent their frustrations, really heard them, that's when the breakthrough happened.
So listening is more important than having all the answers.
The book argues it's often more important than talent, charm, or anything else. There's even a Plutarch quote suggesting you can profit even from listening to bad talkers.
Ah, okay.
And Maxwell gives examples getting crucial info from a mechanic or a store clerk just by listening. It really works.
Makes sense. Okay, BELI.
I is invest in them. We touched on this with nurturing, like the service dog training, showing you care through time, resources, attention.
Got it. The next E.
That E is for empower them, giving them responsibility, authority, trusting them to do things. The book mentions this will be explored more later, so maybe just a nod to it here.
Okay, empowers them. V.
V is vocalize your belief in them. Actually tell people you believe in them.
Don't just think it.
Exactly. The book uses David and Goliath as an example. David had faith because he remembered his past wins killing the lion and the bear. Maxwell suggests you can help people build their own belief by helping them recall their past victories. Remind them what they're capable of.
That's a great technique. Help them see their own track record. Okay, and the final E.
The last E is encourage them. We're back to encouragement again, reinforcing just how vital it is.
It keeps coming up.
Because it's central. Babe Ruth's quote is mentioned here. Don't let the fear of striking out get in your way. Believing in people means encouraging them to try, even if they might fail.
Okay, so believe. Positive attitude, experience wins, listen, invest, empower, vocalize belief, encourage. That's a solid framework for you.
Definitely. So the final major section we need to cover for you is about understanding people, really trying to see beyond your own perspective.
This feels crucial too.
Oh, absolutely. The core idea here is maybe one of Maxwell's most famous lines. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right. Care first, content second.
Pretty much. Love for people, genuine care, has to come before you try to lead or influence them. When people feel you genuinely care about them, not just your agenda, their whole perception of you changes.
That makes total sense.
And the book includes those paradoxical commandments of leadership. They basically highlight that leading and caring for people can be tough. People might be illogical, unreasonable, they might betray you.
Yeah, it's not always easy.
Not at all. But the underlying message is do good anyway, care anyway, understand them anyway.
And the impact of just making someone feel special, important, that's part of understanding them too.
Yes, recognizing their value. And the book also touches on the ripple effect, how truly understanding and helping one person can end up influencing many others down the line.
So how do we get better at understanding people, at seeing their perspective?
Well, the book stresses actively trying to see things from their point of view. Remember the story about the kids fighting over the ice cream cone?
Vaguely. Remind me.
One little girl let her brother have the bigger half, but only if she could get the scoop with the mink hairs in it from her mom's coat. Her priority, her perspective was totally different.
Okay, yeah. It's about understanding what they value, what they're focused on.
Exactly. And Pat McGinley's story, the Harvard grad who was also an NFL player, His perspective on intelligence tests was totally different depending on whether he was compared to academics or football players. Context changes perspective.
Right. It depends who you're standing next to.
And there's that list the book provides, contrasting the other fellow versus I in different situations. Like, when the other fellow takes a long time, he's slow, but when I take a long time, I'm thorough.
Oh, yeah. That highlights our natural bias perfectly. We judge ourselves differently.
Totally. It's a great checklist for you to catch yourself being self-centered in your perspective.
And the Robert Schuller story, the Little League pitcher.
Ah, yeah, the kid whose team is getting hammered like 18-0, but he strikes someone out and yells, "Wow, have we got a pitcher?"
Huh. It's about maintaining a positive perspective even when things look bad. Reframing.
Exactly. It's about how you choose to see the situation.
So, are there practical steps for you to take to get better at understanding people?
Yeah, the book offers some self-assessment questions and a kind of action plan. Ask yourself, where did this person come from? What's their background? Where do they want to go? What are their dreams? What is their need right now? And crucially, how can I help them?
That's very practical, thinking about their past, future, present need, and your role.
And Ken Keyes Jr.'s quote fits perfectly here. A loving person lives in a loving world. Your attitude shapes how you perceive and understand others.
So, what stops us? What are the common roadblocks to understanding people?
Well, the biggest one is probably just plain self-centeredness, like a 2-year-old thinking the world revolves around you.
We all have a bit of that, I guess.
We do. And another is failing to see the similarities between ourselves and others, like the example of the teenage girl who thinks her father couldn't possibly understand her problems, forgetting he was young once too.
Right, assuming difference instead of looking for common ground.
Exactly. Overcoming those is key to truly understanding people.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground there.
Mhm.
Integrity, nurturing, faith, understanding.
Yeah, just to recap for everyone listening, we dug into why integrity is absolutely foundational. Then the power of nurturing people, respect, encouragement, building self-worth. Then the huge impact of actively having faith in people, believing in them, using that belief framework. And finally, the crucial skill of understanding people by really working to see their perspective.
And the key thing is, these aren't just, like, nice ideas. The book backs them up with so many stories, making them feel real and showing you how influence is built, often quietly, person by person.
Absolutely. It's very grounded in real-life examples.
So maybe a final thought for you to take away and mull over. Think about your own influence list. Who are the people, famous or not, who've impacted you? And then consider, how could consciously applying these principles, really focusing on integrity, intentionally nurturing others, actively believing in them, striving to understand their viewpoint, how could that amplify your ability to make a positive difference, not just in your career, but in all parts of your world?
Yeah, and maybe think about that 10th ball story again. Who in your life could you help finally catch that 10th ball just by offering that little bit more encouragement or belief?
A powerful question to end on. Lots to think about there.